Hello, Henchman. Welcome back to another enthralling episode of Monsters Matter. We would like for you to open up your Monster Manual page 195 or 196.
One of the pages.
As your party navigates the weary tunnels, cramped, too tight, isolating each other by stretches of emptiness and vastness, you start to feel a breeze and then heat. Before you know it, fire is being turned down the tunnel from behind you, forcing you to travel faster than you are even able. In these cramped conditions, you hear cackling and howling from around you. You enter into a large cavern, and suddenly bolts and arrows start to descend upon you and yours, as you hear the maid scream as it's caught in the flames. Finally, you see the little rascals running around, gathering together shields and weapons to ready themselves against your assault. You think you finally have them, but then the floor collapses under you, and you feel more howling laughter. As the small dragon men begin to gather around your prone bodies. Barely breathing, you look up and curse the creatures as something so insignificant has led to your undoing.
And that is our introduction to the Kobold.
Fucking kobolds.
These small reptilian creatures that worship dragons. They worship another deity.
They'll worship any dragons,
Yeah.
but they have their own deity that's associated with them, whom's a name I can never remember.
Yeah. There's usually a lot of them.
Yes.
They work in large.
I have the name written down. What was it?
The name? Oh, when I find it, I'll yell it out. I just know that they're just reptilian, dragon-like.
Yes.
They usually serve as minions sometimes of a great.
They worship
like
any
of a dragon.
Any dragon, even an infantile dragon.
There you go.
Worship it as a god.
They reproduce very fast. They're egg-laying creatures, and I think is it like 3 or 4 months it takes for the egg to hatch, and then
I believe so.
They're like full grown at like what 5 or 6 years. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I know they grow fast. They breed and grow fast,
and they live pretty long. They can live to be 100 years old. Some of them. A lot of them don't make it to that long because when they attack, they attack
are very fragile
with grave numbers. They're physically weak creatures. They're not very strong, but they're very clever.
They are the iconic trap monster.
Yes, there you go.
Like, they lure you into their homes that's filled with traps. Be it with jets of fire, boat holes, trap floors, over extremely tight, narrow corners you have to crawl through so you can't move. That's where they're at home at. That's where they're at home at.
So it's not kind of like if you went to fight a kobold, it'd be like in Vietnam.
Yes.
Basically.
I
don't like to use terms out of the real world, but that's kind of what it's like. You're in their turf.
If you ever caught yourself in a kobold, no matter what level you are, a kobold's nest should always be deadly.
Yeah.
Should always be dangerous.
And let's see. Yeah, right here. Mark, is that his name?
I cannot read.
Anyway, he can't read my writing. I wrote down the name of their deity. Kurtamok, I can't read it.
Yes.
K-U-R-T. I think that's a U. Anyway.
Yeah. So if I had it like in front of me, because my eyes are a bit
my handwriting is horrible, and I didn't know much about
I just have bad eyes, so.
But anyway, some worship that god.
That's their general god of the kobolds.
There you go.
But they consider any dragon they meet to be a god.
And then there's some blessed kobolds, and they
blessed by time at the winged kobolds, soaring high above, dropping down rocks like hailstones upon your noggin. Yep. Little fuckers. I hold a grudge.
Go ahead. Yeah, but they also they have sunlight sensitivity, but that's usually don't come a factor because they fight with pack tactics.
Yes, they have pack tactics. So if you're fighting kobolds, specifically at lower levels when you would, they make sure, if you're using them, gang them up on people. because even in daylight, it will cancel out the disadvantage from their sunlight sensitivity, or in darkness, they have advantage on all their attacks.
That's pretty insane.
So
So
they're only going to do like D4 damages.
so outside they're normal. Underground, you're in trouble. There's a lot of
As long as they're ganging up.
a lot of their tunnels and their underground. What do you want to call it? Taverns? No, not taverns, but their underground structures where they live.
Yeah, they're. I was
tunnels.
Holes. Yeah,
there we go. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but
no, you said I'm not sure what you said because you're on my bad side.
but they have a.
I heard taverns, and I just had this image of like a kobold ran bar in the sewer.
No.
Kobolds can coexist with other races.
Yeah.
Like in cities. Specifically, I think it's in Volo's guide they call out that kobolds will be hired to build and maintain sewer systems for a city.
That actually is a pretty smart idea.
Yeah. It is argued between kobolds and dwarves as to which are the better miners, if that tells you anything.
Speaking of mining, in their tunnels, they're always digging, making it bigger and further, and any unused area is always getting mined.
Yeah.
They also eat a lot of mushrooms.
Yes.
That's just something that under dark, a lot of fruit and all that vegetables and everything don't grow very well, right?
I have had this undying love for kobolds since I played a game called Neverwinter Nights. In the first expansion for it, you met a kobold named Deacon that was a bard that was taken in by this white dragon. That was my favorite character from that entire video game.
Wow!
And I carried that character from the entire expansion and the entire next one.
That's crazy.
And he became a dragon disciple. He had wings.
They also have that's awesome. I did not know this. That's an amazing type of character. Oh, he had wings, so he was blessed by
He
him.
sung all the time. Dragon disciple just gave you wings. Yeah.
I just like winged kobolds. I want to play one now because they're cool.
That's doable.
You can sing songs and then you could drop the rock upon their head.
Next campaign.
He'd be a rock bard.
Yeah.
They have root cellars that they build out underground where they put all their food and their storage, and they have big sleeping areas. It's all designated under there. They're not really crammed. There's a lot of them, but there's a lot of spaces because they have labyrinth under there basically, just of underground work and tunnels and everything you can possibly think of.
Now, when it comes to using and customizing kobolds, there are several options for them in Volo's Guide, the Monster Manual, and the Tome of Beasts, if you have that, which is a wonderful book. I suggest you go buy it. But the thing to keep in mind with them, with kobolds as a group, they don't put a lot of stock in healing magic because they're so frail as a species. What they do implement though is very destructive, like fireballs, sorcery, stuff like that. Which draconic sorcery thematically fits them greatly.
It said a few of them that are going into magic. They're like very, very, very powerful sorcerers.
They usually end up bleeding that group of kobolds.
Yeah. They're a lot smarter. Oh, they're smart anyway and clever, but they're even more so.
Yes.
And I guess more chaotic natured.
Yes. Well, we have to think about it. Most kobolds are associated with the chromatic dragons.
Yeah.
Because it's a connection of their god and to Tiamat. I think I did a online game that was a misconstruement of the Yawning Portal a while back ago that had a white kobold leading the group. And the white kobold was like
white kobold. It just keeps like, wow, I never thought that.
Well, they can be any color.
Yeah, it's just
they're
weird.
like tiny. They're like the halfling version of a fucking dragon.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's definitely what they are.
But I just had a like where it was a white dragon sorcerer that was a kobold, and I would do things like where the air around it stayed chilled at all times.
That's cool.
Just small things like that when the people were talking to it. And it was very, in my opinion, is that kobolds are always intelligent. They just don't always like to show it.
That's true. What else we got here? we're trying to cover all the basic Kobold stuff. Anything else?
I'm just talking, bro.
Anything
I like
else?
kobolds.
I like
Kobolds are
Kobolds.
awesome.
There's a
Beacon for
lot
the win.
more Kobold stuff, but it would take us hours because I've looked. There's just several.
He legitimately
pages.
tried to read it all before we started.
Hey.
He spent 30 minutes taking notes, and then he eventually just gave up.
Yep. I know what Kobolds are in, game wise,
Yeah.
somewhat, but when you actually look them up and you learn everything,
The kobolds are in everything.
yeah, it's quite a bit. And what I've tried to
I think it's in Celtic mythos and folklore. They're like just earth spirits. And
I think
they're in World of Warcraft as like rat people. That they're always associated with mining and tunneling. You have to wonder though, if you're using kobolds to make mines, give them something to do with what they dig out. Because there's not an answer for that, really. Not really. Like, what are they digging out and what are they using it for? Are they just mining dirt? Are they mining dirt? I mean,
I don't know where I read this the last couple of days because we knew he was going to be doing this video. I think that Kobolds came out in like 1976.
I believe
the
it.
box set.
I believe so, yeah.
I think I saw that somewhere, which means they've been around for a long time.
They're one of the oldest creatures in D&D.
And they're great creatures. You can really wrap everything around. But do we got anything else we want to cover before I do our closing here?
Oh, do them justice. They have a very long storied history. They shouldn't be just comedic relief, though they can be comedic relief.
Yes. Maybe have a comedic relief, like the first time you encounter one.
Comedic relief, but just
I'm talking about
do them justice.
to lure them. Like they think, oh, that was easy prey, and then you run across the tunnels you see them in, and
There's
then things
a
change.
document that was going around a long while back ago that I feel everyone should read before putting kobolds in the games. It's called Tucker's Kobolds.
You told me to read that, and now I need to do it.
Yes. It's basically just a story of this guy's DMs that was named Tucker. He does like what is like this mega dungeon thing where it's several levels, and there's one level that everyone hates, and it's the Kobold level because they will lose people on that level. They say it is the worse than the devil level. But in that document where he's talking about all the things the kobolds would do, it showcases how to use them without actually putting them themselves into combat.
That's interesting, and I will check that out.
Yeah, it's just basically they use their layer as the encounter.
So anyway, that cuts us to closing time. Not in a bar neither, but your group of adventurers. You're traveling along the path of a rocky mountain surface, going around. You need to work your way up top. As you do a couple layers, you see some shadows here and there. You turn quickly, not knowing what it is. And then all of a sudden, the sky starts to rain down small rocks, maybe bowling ball size, as they start landing
That's
on
a pretty
you.
big rock. I'm
My
sorry.
bad. Well, maybe a little small.
No, the size is right. I'm sorry, that's my bad. I didn't mean to say that.
Rocks fall down on your party members. A lot of them as you looked up and you see these winged shadows. It's night, you can see very well. Rocks start bouldering down, hitting off. You think an avalanche. You think something's going on. Something throwing rocks at you. As you back travel and you go back down the path of the hills, they just keep falling and keep falling. And then you hit a point to where they're falling in front of you. There's nowhere else to turn. As you turn into an open cave on the side of this rocky mountain that you see, and as you enter in, you hear a rope, a snap of a rope, as two spears come on each side of you as you turn each direction trying to get through it. Then the floor starts to give. You manage to jump over that with your party members. And then in front of you, you see flickering lights running down a tunnel. As you're not sure what is going on, but you can't turn around. Everything is trapped behind you. You also think it may be trapped in front of you. So moving at a stealthy pace, you make your way through this tunnel system until you get to a large opening room. You and your group sneak into this room, and then you start to find out where you're at. You're not in this cave. You're in a tunnel system. Once you figure this out, your group gets together and you get what you need. You stealthily go through this tunnel, and eventually you gain the upper hand. As you think you have the upper hand, you approach some of these figures that you saw flying to see that they're red-skinned, dragon-like, smaller creatures. You jump to start attacking them as it screams and belches, and then out of all these other nooks and crannies and holes in the wall you didn't even know existed, all the different tunnel systems, they flood out like ants on a sugary substance on the ground. Before you know it, you are in trouble. You have Kobold evasion.